Hey everybody out there, Chris and Mike here, and welcome back to another Dark Avenger Comic Book review. In this review, we will be talking about the books that came out of DC Comics the week of
September 17, 2014.
I'm used to doing that. I'm used to saying it. So
That's
anyway,
why I am here.
No, you're here just to take some of the book load off of me. Anyway, we are in the third week of the 4-week DC Comic event. As always, the one-shots will be after the digital first books, as we do have two this week, and then we have one book which is yours, and then of course the weeklies, as always, I'm putting at the very end. So let me start with the digital first book of Infinite Crisis, Fight for the Multiverse, issue number 3. If you got this, your issue is polybag, because in this issue, for free, you get, I forgot what it was, Atomic Wonder Woman Champion Code, which you can play as Atomic Wonder Woman.
Interesting.
Which is nice. But anyway, this book is the conclusion to the first story arc. And you have Batman and the others going up against Two-Face. And the artwork actually does change towards the end of the book, which kind of offsets a little bit. But not really offsets in a bad way. It's just Two-Face is drawn differently, which I'll show both artworks. So here's the first artist. So basically the bulk of the book is Batman versus Bane from a different universe and his minions. By the way, here we go, here's Bane from a different universe. And they want Two-Face so they can get the relic back. And they actually trick Bane into pretending that they are Bane's prisoners to take them to Two-Face. They get there. Humongous fight breaks out. There's a moment with Selena Kyle in this. I'm not going to spoil it. For those of you that have read this digitally, this is old news to you. You're already in next issue, if not beyond next issue. But they end up getting the relic back. Two-Face gets defeated. The Monitor gets the relic. And he says, this is just the beginning. This was just a scrimmage. That there's more heavier stuff to come. At the end of this story arc, I'm definitely left... I'm satisfied with the first story arc, but I'm going to let the next issue speak whether I will keep the series or I'll drop the series. It was a nice first story, but I'm starting to feel like the way I did with Injustice. I know Injustice Season 2, everybody's telling me I'm crazy for not reading it. It was really good. A lot of really good stuff's coming out of Injustice. I just can't get into it because it's based off of a game, and we all know the ending. At the same time, Infinite Crisis, it all really depends on what the next story is and if it can grip me, because I don't know, I just don't, when it comes to game comic books, if it's not like Mario Brothers or for you Tomb Raider or something, it's just, I don't know, I'm liking it, but if I'm not loving it, especially for $3.99, I might put it down for something else.
Scribblenauts Unmasked, Crisis of Imagination, issue number 9, final issue.
Is it final issue?
I don't like it's the final issue.
You don't like it?
I don't like to say goodbye to Scribblenauts.
You don't want to say goodbye to Scribblenauts.
No, I don't.
But you're going to.
Because I like it the cookie. But anyway, yeah. So, it's Anti-Monitor, who is going to take on Maxwell and, what was the other guy? He was,
his reverse.
like his, rival, I'll find his name. But anyway, here's some artwork, which is drawn very nicely, as always. And it's the Justice League that's going off against their own shadows. Meanwhile, the villains, they're doing their whole thing of, like, changing plans.
I remember that Superman.
Yeah, they have the other Superman that's in it. What was his name?
I don't remember.
But yeah. So, they all are now going to go up against the Anti-Monitor now, since Maxwell has, like, his notebook and everything. Phantom Stranger comes back, and there's this whole afterlife thing it looks like they went into, where Anti-Monitor grows large in size, and then he combines the superhero powers, Maxwell and Lily, combine them all together to take down the Anti-Monitor, and his brother actually comes in, who he thought he destroyed him, and he actually destroys the Anti-Monitor, where everything is now all hunky-dory. Doppelganger, that was his name. I knew it began with the letter D. And then you have a thing where Darkseid comes in, and then and then they're both ready at their notebooks saying, "Let's do this and get ready," and that's how they end it off.
Well, it leaves it open for a possibility for a sequel.
Well, no, it said just that's it. There's no.
I'm just saying.
But there might be.
Open.
Yeah, I would really like a sequel to this, but this was really awesome. Highly recommend it for the kids to read this because all 9 issues. And if you haven't read all of it, I would definitely suggest a trade paperback.
And finally,
the Multiversity Society of Superheroes, DC Comics issue #1. It is DC.
Basically, Multiversity issue #2,
Yeah.
but they're doing one shots with all
I don't
different
know, like,
pieces of the multiverse.
It was really the whole story was just Green Lantern's villains. It was like a Green Lantern related book, from what I read, where there's like a whole team that gets together. Where
Dr. Fate.
Yeah, Dr. Fate's in it, where they get to know each other and everything. And they relate to like a comic book, and you got
Looks like Justice Society if you really look at it.
yeah, you got the devil in it, and basically this is what the team looks like in the Society of Superheroes, or they say call SOS or something like that. So there's this villain, I forgot what his name was, who says like everything that revolves around comic books are just all like a bunch of like false and everything, and he wants to just change the whole universe and everything. Meanwhile, you got the $1 billion brain who comes in. I think that's him, is it?
Yeah.
The dude with the $1 billion brain, yeah. He comes in, and there's a whole big destruction. It's really more of a little bit of the inner dialogue, but you get one person who actually killed one of them, which superheroes don't do. And that's really it. Then we get the Green Lantern that Mephisto, that's the name that he uses, and basically that was the whole book.
Looks interesting, but not definitely something I'm glad I have you reading more than me because I don't know if I would.
Yeah, I didn't want to give too much away because it's really a long story, and how much was it? And yeah, it was a $4.99 book.
It's a $5 book. So I guess if Multiversity next time doesn't hold you, I guess
Then
it's a buy book. Because for $5, no offense, but DC, you're not safe. Just like Marvel, $5 for a book. If it isn't spectacular or if it isn't really good, not something that we're going to keep.
So now let's find out what happens 5 years later now.
Most of these books are out of order. I tried to keep them in as much of an order as I can, but this book definitely I did not really enjoy that much, and that's Green Lantern New Guardians one shot. It's about this girl. Apparently Kyle Rayner had this thing set up before he died where it explained to people why he did whatever he did, which was horrible, and it involved killing the most of the Guardians and Carol because they stood up against him. And it's explained towards the end of the book how this girl actually resisted his ideals and everything like that, and she fought against him and said he was wrong. And then she said, "You're the reason why everybody died." And where was it? It was somewhere. Where is this page? Yeah. Apparently this takes place after the story arc that's about to start, which is with the life equation and the source wall, and of course they're going to have All-Father in it. Basically Kyle absorbed the life equation. They thought that he had cracked under the pressure and the power, and it turned out it didn't change him. He felt it changed them, and they were crazy, and it ended up him killing everybody. And he loved Carol, which is messed up because Carol was Hal's girlfriend. But in the end, basically, she says, "I shouldn't be forced to believe in what you believe. I should have the right to feel my own way." And Kyle's like, "This was a huge test for you. Congratulations. And I'll not force you, and I cannot force you. Only you can decide whether I was right or wrong." And she ends up becoming the new White Lantern of the universe. Again, I haven't been reading Green Lantern New Guardians since Jeff Johns left Green Lantern, and I ended up just keeping the other two. I really, looking back at the other two issues, I like Green Lantern New Guardians. Green Lantern was second place. This is definitely third. I couldn't get into this issue at all. I really didn't like it. That's it.
Well, you're not alone, because his book I didn't like.
Well, I dropped that because I just, the last issue number 2, I didn't like.
Future's End Teen Titans one-shot. I didn't feel this to be a Teen Titan book. It was just really just...
A group of new people who became the Teen Titans at the end of it. I think I remember skimming it.
That's it. Like, you get these new people who are, you know, that are going to join... that are from Teen Titans. You got Kid Flash from Earth 2 who's in it, along with...
yeah, I don't like that they're doing this.
People.
Already they're setting this up where when Earth 2 World's End happens, at the end of this event, and at the end of Future's End, Earth 2 and Earth 1 are going to be combined, and we're going to have heroes from Earth 2 and Earth 1. It's screwed up, it's messed up, it's too much.
Not only that, the thing that they have a mission of trying to find this person Grant. And the thing is that they're trying to find a way of how to get there, you know, by doing all these strategies. I want to show some artwork. Okay.
It's kind of funny that you show that guy, because he's actually in Batman and Robin.
Which one?
Him.
Oh, the Pursuer, is it?
I think so.
Well, I can't remember. It was something like that. But anyway, they fight off against these... there's actually sharks in here, which I'm surprised you didn't see that, because I know how you like sharks and everything. So I don't know, like I really didn't find this really interesting. It was just a whole, like, I mean, I had never read Teen Titans, which is probably why I felt a little lost, kinda, with you know, all the references and stuff like that. But basically, it ends up with them telling the senator, or Mr. Grant actually, that they're the Teen Titans and they like to talk about his future. And that's how it ends. Now, Teen Titans going to the senator's office and doing that, that doesn't sound like a bunch of superheroes.
It's a very dark future for the DC universe.
Yeah, I don't know. I wasn't really interested in it, and if it was ongoing, I'd drop it myself.
And apparently in Future's End, Supergirl was abducted by Cyborg Superman, and Cyborg Superman, as the cover shows, converted her into his second herald, and they kind of explain how he abducted her, he changed her, they worked for Brainiac for a time, and then they left because they want to recreate New Krypton. They show up on Earth. Shea Veritas finds out that Supergirl's back, and she sends out... I forgot what his name was. Adam, this guy called Adam, who shows up and tries to reach out to... No. Oh. Who tries to reach out to Kara, but it doesn't work because Cyborg Superman, after he changed her into a Cyborg Supergirl, he kind of repressed all of her other memories. But it turns out this guy has psychic abilities. He reaches into her mind and reminds her about who he is. Basically, it's for the readers, so they know who they are and who he is. And apparently Supergirl joined this group called the Wanderers. Her and this guy Adam, who fought together, ended up as lovers, and then they went up against Cyborg Superman and Brainiac. Cyborg Superman ended up taking Kara, and then that's where she kind of wakes up and all of her memories are back. She fights against Cyborg Superman. It becomes a huge fight all the way till the end. And I guess for the first time in this Future's End, there's a happy ending because she ends up back with the Wanderers and back with the guy that she loves.
Next issue?
It says next issue, Supergirl versus Red Hood next month. Obviously, this is for issue 34, so we'll see. But all in all, this was the first happy ending. Well, one of the few happy endings I've seen in the future thus far, and it was a good issue. It was a very quick read, though, in my opinion. But it was still good.
And speaking of next month, Supergirl versus Red Hood, the Future's End Red Hood and the Outlaws one-shot.
How was it?
I found it really interesting, this one. It was really just, remember when I said how the Red Hoods, they were, gonna go against each other and stuff like that? And it actually was, and it was really between Jason Todd and Arsenal.
Who is now Red Arrow.
Who's now Red Arrow in the future, and here's some artwork right here. And basically, they're just talking about, you know, stuff that happened in the past, like about friendship, of how it, you know, if it meant anything, Jason Todd, and he said that it didn't, which set Arsenal off. And then we got Morgan Edge here, who sees a Batgirl symbol, which
Oh, it's Red Hood.
Red Hood? Oh yeah, the Red Hood symbol. Oh, sorry, I thought it was Batgirl. My mistake. And it's a long dialogue. Like, there's lots of talking, and Jason Todd just turned out to be a psycho killer, just killing everything at sight, and you know, and for someone who I thought was once Robin, just you know, was like this. So he's looking for Morgan, and he shot him because of he didn't want him to beg or anything, and that's
Oh, you got rid of him? Good.
Yeah. And then there was just this whole big thing at the end with the cloth, the red cloth that they had. So, I mean, it was a little bit of a brief fight scene between Jason Todd and Arsenal. I don't know. I mean, it was kind of interesting, but the way
Starfire, huh?
I don't think Starfire was in it, but the way that they said that they were gonna like betray each other or something like that, that was sure as hell true.
Now, what I find interesting, Batman and Robin Futures M one shot. The guy that was in Teen Titans, actually, Batman's fighting him throughout this entire issue. And we get introduced to a new Robin at the very beginning of this issue. And this is...
Is this like the fourth
5
Robin?
years from now. No, it's the next Robin. We still don't know what happened to Damian. They're not telling us. So for those of you that bought this book saying, hey, we'll find out the fate of Damian and we won't have to read Robin, Alpha, or the rest of Batman N. No. So you have Batman versus this guy again. I forget his name. I wish I could remember his name.
Dude?
Psycho.
Oh.
Next level Psycho. Trying to figure out. Robin knows that Batman's hiding something, by the way, from him. But Alfred won't tell him what. And Robin's trying to get Alfred to tell him what's going on. He knows that he's being... pushed aside for something, but actually Alfred kind of reaches out to Robin after a while because Bruce is literally getting his ass handed to him by the end of this. There's a lot of Batman books this week, and you see how broken Bruce gets. I mean, in previous issues, last week we saw Batman cloned himself because he's broken. Now, the rest of these books are explaining how he got broken. We didn't know why his back was broken. I mean, they explained it, but we didn't see how. These next few Batman books explain it all. So, in this book, he gets the crap beaten out of him by this guy who he doesn't even know if it's another clone of Damian or not. Robin comes in and saves the day in the end. And it ends well, but it turns out Batman never finds out if it's Damian, or another clone of Damian or not, or if it's an imposter, whoever. That's really it. This book really has a little bit of a connection to Batman didn't want Robin involved because he didn't want what happened to Damian to happen to him, so it's nice. We get to see a new Robin. Is this going to be the definite future? Everybody's saying no, so I'm not going to say anything about the new Robin because we don't know if it's definite yet.
Futures and Wonder Woman one shot.
And actually, right after this, Superman.
It leads
Wonder
into
Woman.
that, yeah, and I'm gonna explain why. So, in the beginning, shows a Wonder Woman 5 years later, and she's just talking about, you know, how she wants to, you know, save.
Nice artwork.
Yeah, the artwork's like beautiful in this story arc. In this story. So she tells the demons, you know, allow my troops to withdraw or die. So she uses the lasso of truth with her swords and everything. And I'm just so impressed with the artwork. It's just like really, like I was loving each and every minute of it. And her men came in even though she said to them retreat. But they join anyway. And there's also, after that, after a while, they were, it was like a meeting that they had of about Nemesis. Like if
Nemesis
if
is brought
Nemesis
into
kills her,
Superman
like she'll win everything because that's who the leader is of all that. And then it gets into the whole thing where they transformed into one of them that transformed into a demon, and then she turns into
the God of War.
The God of War. And she didn't like to be called God of War. She just wanted to be called Wonder Woman. And then this is where it leads to Superman, Wonder Woman in the end, where this happened.
Superman shows up.
Yes. And if you want to know why, Chris will explain
right now.
But this was good, this book.
So it continues directly. Actually, the first page of Superman Wonder Woman's one-shot actually takes up right where that leaves off. Literally, right where that leaves off. I didn't like the artwork so much in this book. I wish the artist would have continued forward in Superman Wonder Woman. So Superman is trying to help Wonder Woman because Wonder Woman thinks Superman's changed. He's joined the enemy. And it turns out he's saying, look, I'm not fighting you. I didn't fall. You did. Look. And then she wakes up and realizes everything was an illusion.
Wow.
She was trapped by Nemesis in Tartarus, beyond Doom's door. So she's been trapped fighting demons, believing they're humans and everything, and it's not real. So it's up to her and Superman to... it's up to Superman to bring her back. And then as they get to the door where she will escape and go back to the regular, back to reality, she says, 1 second, tell me who you really are, because Clark, because he acts like Clark, but she says, now these days, and this is what makes me scared to see what's going to happen in the Superman books next week, but she says, these days he hides on a farm in Africa, far from everyone. He risks nothing, and he certainly would take no risk for me. And then that's where Superman admits that he was actually he was pulled forward through time from 4 years in the past. So the Superman in this book is from 4 years in the past.
I wonder why he looked different.
And they couldn't get in touch with the Superman of that year, of today. And he says, I might have a word with him about that, actually. So Superman has no idea what's going on. He was just pulled forward into time to help Wonder Woman.
Ooh, that's a nice page.
He takes her outside and he says, you might not be prepared, but it turns out Nemesis is right at Themyscira's door. They escape to Olympus, where Superman actually finds out there was a war between the gods and the humans won, but the gods are strained now, and that's why Nemesis is winning. And then you have Wonder Woman going to the... it turns out that Nemesis ended up killing the God of Peace. And here's a spoiler alert for you. Long story short, Superman fights off against a lot of Nemesis demons, but then Wonder Woman trades in being the God of War and became the God of Peace. So she's no longer the God of War, but she's now the God of Peace in the future. Not in the present.
No, I know, but I'm like, what? They can't do that 5 years later. That's just...
So still, I wonder what happened between Superman and Wonder Woman. And we find out what happened between Superman and Batman, and we'll get into that in a little bit. But Superman basically, after the war, disappeared. And we find out more about Superman, like I said, as we get into another book that involves Superman. So go ahead.
A really good story features them Batwoman, one shot. And we find out... how she became, like why she says Barbara Gordon's dead and all that. So,
Barbara Gordon, that's not Barbara Gordon.
Not Barbara Gordon, I
forgot her name too.
Yeah, I can't remember, but anyway. So, it talks about, like, her story about, like, how she makes, there's, like, this story right here. Where it is Barbara Gordon, Batwoman.
No, Batwoman is not Barbara Gordon.
Is it?
No.
I thought I saw her name somewhere.
Maybe you did, but it's not. Batwoman's not Barbara Gordon.
Okay, that was her name. So she fights off against this other person who.
Is she a vampire?
I think she was mentioned to be a vampire or something like that, but that's why it wasn't, So, in the story, she's just, Kate's just going crazy, just taking, and killing everything at sight, and she tries to kill her because I think she's a vampire hunter, it looks like, from what I see. Her name is
vampire.
Yeah, her name is like Alice. That's her name that she was fighting off against. She's like saying, you know, get me out of this net thing. You know, I've changed and everything, and then she gets fooled, and she actually stabs Batwoman, and yeah, just rots away.
So Batwoman ends up dying. For another book where it ends sad.
Yeah. So, I mean, I like these because it was like a little bit good. It's just the ending part was not my taste of that. Trinity of Sin Pandora and Future 7 one-shot. This was really good. Almost my book of the week, actually. It basically talks about... You know, they should have done this in Forever Evil Blight, because remember Pandora's Box? She actually got it together again. You mean to tell me she could have done that the whole time? I mean, that's just really something else. So, she opens up Pandora's Box, then it gets to Giganta, what she looks like 5 years later, with talking with Swamp Thing, of saying how the greed will curse her and everything, and she just gets almighty and powerful.
Sure that's Giganta? No. Oh yeah, it is. Okay.
Yeah, that was Giganta. Yeah. So Pandora basically has a team of her own, which are these right here. Artwork's really excellent, and she has a talk with them about you know, like how they do battle. You know, like basically the real Pandora is trying to tell them that, and one of them gets in a fight with Pandora, who turns into this, like we saw in Forever Evil Blight, and you know, it's just that they're not working this out together. Like, they just wind up either fighting each other, and then she's just saying, you know, you gotta listen to me. You know, I faced all this, and I defeated you guys 5 years ago, but it took me years to fully understand my purpose of what I have to do. And she explains a whole big dialogue of the multiverse and the 7 deadly sins of what it does, and
she disappears along with the Pandora's box.
Yeah, it's just that I just see her put this together, and I'm like, why couldn't you do this before? You had to wait 5 years to learn that? I don't know. But this was almost book of the week, and this was really something else. I can't wait to see how it's going to be in the Trinity book.
Yeah.
With the Phantom Stranger and all that.
Alright, and with that, give us just 1 second and we will definitely finish off this week's DC Comics. Alright, continuing, we have Batman Superman issue number 1, or the one-shot. In this book, Batman is broken even further. This is where Batman actually breaks his back for the last time. There's no way to fix his back after this. So, it takes place right after the war, literally right after the war. Batman... is looking... Superman's disappeared, basically, and so is Clark Kent. And they show the Forever Remembered, where they mention all the people who are missing's name, and Clark Kent shows up. And in this book, there's this huge letter that Batman's writing Superman, saying, I know you didn't die, I know you're still out there, I know you're mad at me for the decisions I made, and we don't know what decision Batman made, but it sure pissed off Superman, to the point where the last thing Batman heard from him was the explosive roar, as he says. So now, this is right after the war. You have Batman cleaning out the Batcave, and then it turns out Metallo ends up attacking Metropolis. And Batman's already in very bad condition, as is already. He doesn't care. He goes to the fortress to try to find Superman. Apparently he did something really bad, because Krypto hates him. Steel doesn't like him, because Steel says you use Superman. Superman will never trust you again after the decisions you made during the war, which obviously he did. He obviously he made a decision that not only went against everything Superman believes in, but it got Superman to the point where he basically left. So he goes up against Metallo in Metropolis on his own, because Superman's not coming back. But he ends up winning against Metallo. He ends up in the hospital again, and unfortunately this is where Alfred says, your back is broken for good this time. There's nothing you can do. You know somebody who can help. You know he can help you if you just call to him. Maybe he'll come back. Batman tries to reach out to Superman, and then he makes one final entry where he says, you think you're too good for the world? Fine. It'll have to settle for me. because Superman has completely disappeared. Batman is trying, to find out where he is, because they don't even know if Superman's alive, because he disappeared before the end of the war, and Clark Kent's gone. But Batman knows Superman's still alive somewhere. He just doesn't know where, and he wants Superman to come back, because the world still needs him. And that's what he's trying to bring across in this letter that he's writing Superman throughout the whole book, that the world still needs Superman. Yes, bad things happened during the war, and yes, Superman will probably never trust half the people that he cared about again because of whatever happened. We don't know. Will we ever know? I hope not, because this is a really dark DC universe, and I don't want to get to the point where we're here in time, because I don't need to see a broken Batman at this point. But
yeah, because Bane's already done enough.
In the end, through Superman, Wonder Woman, and Batman, Superman, you can see that Superman no longer gives a crap about Wonder Woman, and he no longer trusts Batman, and he hates his guts too. So whatever happened went against everything Superman believes in during the war, and that's scary to know that that's a possibility for the future.
Future's End Justice League one shot. This was where we saw previously in Justice League United, where Captain Atom was the one behind the whole thing, where Martian Manhunter is on Earth, and here is the new 52 of Captain Atom.
Okay.
And it's just like what we saw in the Justice League TV series. He's just saying, that he doesn't like what the Justice League does, and it's like what do you say? Like, he said in a way like he just doesn't like do what needs to be done. And
yeah, it reminds me of the cartoon.
Yeah, like he just said so he's just saying like, yo, let me go and all this, or I'll kill all of you. And Gorilla Grodd is the one that helps out also. Here's some nice, excellent artwork. This was my book of the week, actually. And they're trying to save, John Jones from all that. And he just says, I want to destroy everything, where Equinox goes in. And here's the thing of what they do. They actually got him to where he was what he was before, which is, I guess, what the missing piece of what he needed, just so a place where he can be human. And that's how they defeated that. But then John Jones says, that Mars, this is my home, and this place needs me, and they need me. So basically, he stays on Mars rather than go back to Earth with them. So it's really something else. But definite 5 out of 5, and that is my book of the week, Justice League. Even what they did with Captain Atom, the whole thing of what he needed, that missing piece of his life, was where he could be human again, and it was just wow.
Now we're on to the 2 weeklies. Future's End, issue number 20. In this issue, if I can remember everything, you have Tim Drake in the very beginning of the issue going into trying to break into Lois's office to try to make sure that the next article won't be outing him. And she doesn't really out him. She doesn't say she is yet, but she does tell him that he should tell his girlfriend. She shows him the box that she got in the mail, and he says, wow, this is Red Arrow's arrow. So obviously he wanted to make sure that you found me. And then he's like, I don't know what these coordinates obviously lead to something. And she said, I went over there was nothing there. He's like, no, there's definitely something there. These coordinates are saying there's something there. She's like, so you'll go? And he's like, no way, I'm done. Mentally, physically, I'm out of it. Then we jump 25 years into the future, where it turns out Mr. Terrific's the only one that isn't roboted out, thanks to Brother Eye. Brother Eye. Sorry about that, guys. This always happens every week. I think next week we're just going to use this camera right off the bat. But anyway, jumping back into the book, we're 25 years into the future, and apparently Mr. Terrific and Batman are the fathers to Brother Eye, because that's what we get. And Brother Eye reaches into Bruce's brain and finds out that Bruce sent somebody back into the past to try to prevent what's going to happen. And now Brother Eye wants Mr. Terrific to find a way to send it back to the past to stop Terry from preventing the future. The rest of the book takes place on Cadmus Island, where Grifter, Slade, Lana, and 50 Sue are trying to figure out a plan to fight against Brother Eye. And then we go to New York City where Mr. Terrific is interviewing or talking with Key and what's his name, Coyle, to try to figure out who they were working for and why they broke into Terrifictech. And he basically says this will go one of two ways: either you'll get arrested, you'll go to jail for most of your life, if not the rest of your life, and you'll rot, or because I'm very impressed you broke in and you got as far as you did, you could work for me and tell me who sent you. And he wants a name basically, and they talk it over and then they give him a name, Bruce Wayne. And then the book ends with Tim telling Maggie who he really is, and she ends up walking out on him, and that's where the book leaves off. So a lot of things going on in this issue, but really nice. But I gotta give it to Batman Eternal this week. This book actually beat out Future's End for me. With Batman Eternal issue 24, we have Spoiler, and it's Spoiler versus her father throughout most of the book. I know that you could tell that Spoiler's father's working for Hush. I mean, you could tell by the silhouette. You don't need a telegraph to say that's Hush, but I hope it's Hush anyway, or else I'm going to look stupid a couple of weeks from now if I'm wrong. But you have Spoiler who's trying to, what's the word I'm looking for? Find out exactly what her father's doing and expose him. And the person he's working for, whom we believe is Hush, ends up saying either kill your daughter within the week or else you're going to be the one that's dead. You got Batman fighting a ghost. He tries to reach out to Batwing. He doesn't make it to Batwing. He doesn't reach Batwing. So now he's kind of wondering what the hell's going on at Arkham, finally. And then, like I said, the rest of the book is Spoiler versus her dad. She runs off on a motorcycle. The father follows her. And long chase and explosion, story short, she ended up, what was the word I'm looking for? She ended up setting up her dad. She took him out of Gotham because she knew that the GCPD were on his side or working, or he had people on the inside. So she took him past Gotham City lines, and now he's no longer in GCPD jurisdiction. He's in state jurisdiction, so he has no pull where he's going. So he gets taken off to county jail instead of Gotham jail, and he swears that his daughter is going to pay for what she's done. And she says, no, Dad, you're not going anywhere for a very long time. So if you're a Spoiler fan, or if you really wanted to see some Spoiler stuff, this was awesome. I enjoyed this issue. I really liked it. Stephanie got her dad, and she put him down. Now let's see if she can manage to save Gotham in the end. I mean, we're already almost halfway, if not already halfway through Batman Eternal, and it's going really well in my opinion.
Yep.
And with that, that's it for this review, guys. Don't forget to check out comic-related, Comic Frontline, and Zone4Podcast.com. Together, we're your #1 source for comic-related news, reviews, and a whole bunch more. Feel free to leave comments below, and we will answer your comments in the comment section below. As always, we love to hear from you guys, even if it is through messages. Love hearing from you guys and writing back to you guys. Next week is the final week to DC Comics 5 Years Later event. We'll see if I might get all the books together from the 5 years later and do a top 41. I probably won't do it that way. I don't know how we'll do it, but we'll figure something out. And yeah, so until then, everybody, take care, keep reading, keep collecting, and we'll see you guys in the next review.
Take care, everybody.